Now, just for clarification's sake, are there any inhabitants on Planet X? And are you suggesting that, and I know you're not, but are you suggesting that Jesus is some kind of alien that, is returning on Planet X since Planet X is his throne?
I don't know. This is right. I don't know the answer. I don't think he's definitely not an alien. But I think of Planet X as kind of God's throne chariot, something he rides to war. It's not something you live in; it's something you ride. It's like a war chariot. You take it, you ride it to battle. He's using this thing to attack Earth, and it's his heavenly throne chariot. And this is alluded to in the Old Testament as the divine throne chariot of God, which circles in heaven. I talk about this, and I think it's Psalm 19, where it literally says that God runs the circuit of heaven. And nothing is hid from its heat. I think it actually refers to Planet X as opposed to the sun, because the sun doesn't actually move in heaven. We move around the sun. So when it says he moves in the circuit of heaven, it's there's a couple of places, I can't get into the detail now. It actually says in a couple of places in the Bible that actually God moves in a circle in heaven. And also Isaiah talks about how God comes from a far place from the end of heaven, which literally says the word is like a piece of land, a physical place. And he returns from the end of heaven on this land, which can only be interpreted as a planet, with weapons of war to make war on basically Earth. I guess it's Isaiah 13 or something. But there are references, and I talk about that in chapter 4, about God riding in a circle in heaven, riding on the clouds, or coming with a heavenly army from a far country. Literally means a country, a physical location on Earth that is at the head of heaven that is coming towards Earth, which once again can only describe a planet by that definition. So I don't think it's where God lives. It would be enormously cold and dark most of the time, a very unpleasant place to live. I do think it is something he uses to judge the Earth on occasion. Every 2,000 years or so, it'll fly by. The last time it came by, it announced the birth of Christ as the Star of Bethlehem. Previous to that, it passed through our solar system and was worshipped by the Akkadians as the god Enlil, as the Sumerians as the god Enlil. And it shows up in their literature. They actually say God Enlil appeared and hurled down fire from heaven and destroyed Sumer. My interpretation of that, also Abraham, who was born around 2000 BC, his birth was preceded by a star. In the I think it's the Testaments of the Patriarchs or something. That's also in the book. And so there's a reference in the apocryphal literature to a star preceding the birth of Abraham, which was about 2000 BC. So if Planet X returns in our time, that would prove that it does in fact have a 2,000-year orbital period. And finally, there is a reference to the day of the Lord being 1,000 years, and 1,000 years being as one day. My theory is that actually describes an orbit of Planet X. 1,000 years for it to go to the outer edge of the solar system, which is the night, and another 1,000 years to come in towards the inner solar system, which is the day. 1,000 to perihelion, 1,000 to aphelion, 2,000 years total orbital time. And as such, altogether, with the description of Planet X being out there, astronomers are looking for it as we speak. The disruptions in our outer solar system, the clear parallels and parallel texts, in the ancient Near East, and also clear references to some kind of heavenly object in the Bible associated with God and his second coming. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out this is probably something like Planet X.
That's very interesting. You bring up just your perspective on things is very fascinating to listen to. Now, with all this talk of Planet X and outer space-based things, I can't help but try to draw some sort of, comparison to the UFO or alien deception that is talked about a lot nowadays in the fringe community, not in the least here on Canary Cry Radio. So do you have, is there any connection there where maybe that could be used as a part of the deception, or maybe that's part of the science-based alien sort of alien-based theory on the end or the new age, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, like can they use Planet X as sort of an excuse or a catalyst for the fallen angels to, come about and come down?
It's possible. I think what will actually happen is that the fallen angels, there'll be a battle in heaven, and the fallen angels will lose. And they'll come down from heaven to earth, having lost that battle, and Planet X and the heavenly armies will be right behind them. And so they'll probably say, Planet X is a bad place because, it's full of bad people. And I think they've been planning that for a long time, indoctrinating human beings into thinking that Planet X is a bad thing, and it's a bad place full of bad people. Not least of which is actually the movie Star Wars, which I believe was actually purposely done in order to propagandize people to believe that the heavenly planet that is approaching is bad.
Is the Death
and ruled
Star.
by an evil emperor. It's a Death Star ruled by an evil emperor. That was
Darth Vader is on Planet X.
Exactly. The emperor is the father, the evil father, and Darth Vader is the evil son. In that concept. And there was a propaganda piece designed to make us think that this is a war, and those people up there, the Empire, they're evil, and we have to fight against them. And the whole point of this, and the building of the civilization and the Freemasons and all of that, is to build up a civilization of a technological level sufficient enough to build weapons of power strong enough to attempt to fight against the second coming, against the approach of Planet X itself.
Yeah, see, that's interesting because the Planet X piece I hadn't really considered, but in terms of all the technological developments, I'm writing my first book right now, and it's taken a lot longer than I was hoping for, but the whole thesis is that space weapons and all the stuff being built right now is going to be used to fight against the second coming of Christ.
Right.
So, it's really interesting that you bring that up.
Mm-hmm. Rebel scum.
So the bad guys are the good guys, and the good guys are the bad guys, according to the Star Wars mythology.
Yeah, it's the Luciferian doctrine. They flip it around.